Yo guys, what's up? It's your boy here once again. Talking and discussing some things. I want to talk about AEW. This is another AEW All Elite Wrestling video. um, my other video I did previously before this, I was just talking about wrestling fans and kind of just ranting on them and what their aspirations for AEW is, which isn't wrong, but just watch the last video. Anyway, um, this is really positive for All Elite Wrestling. It was reported yesterday that All Elite Wrestling, All Elite's Wrestling, and their deal with their Turner deal with TNT at this point is virtually done, and that a person with knowledge of plans tells the Rap, because this comes from the Rap, who broke this news yesterday, that current plans call for the partnership between AEW and Ted Turner to be announced an hour before the Warner's Media, which is next Wednesday. AEW president Tony Khan and some of his wrestlers are expected to be in attendance at the Madison Square Garden, the mecca of professional wrestling, to pitch to advisors. The presentation begins at 10 a.m. New York City time. Turner plans to begin airing weekly AEW wrestling shows this fall on TNT. Excuse me. So, the way the Rap wrote this was kind of didn't make much sense. Anyway, basically, what this means is that next Wednesday, the long-awaited TV deal between TNT and AEW is finally coming into fruition. They're crossing their T's and dotting their I's, because next Wednesday, Warner Media, which is a big event for Turner Broadcasting, TNT, that they hold next Wednesday at Madison Square Garden, that is when they are going to announce the partnership with All Elite Wrestling and them having a weekly TV deal this fall. So this is huge. This is huge news. It's huge because, well, multiple reasons why this is huge. Everyone who hates, AEW, because believe it or not, since the announcement of All Elite Wrestling, there's been a bit of a rift between wrestling fans. There's a group of wrestling fans, excuse me, who are excited for All Elite Wrestling, who, excited for, the prospect of this company. And then you have the extremists within that same group that think All Elite Wrestling is going to be the savior of professional wrestling and it's the hottest thing since sliced bread, when nothing's materialized just yet. However, on the other side of the spectrum, you have another group of wrestling fans that, for whatever reason, they hate and they despise All Elite Wrestling. For whatever reason, they, they tease and call it's a t-shirt company, which I have to say, one of the earlier episodes on Double or Nothing or Being the Elite, they actually made fun of wrestling fans calling AEW a t-shirt company. I'll laugh my ass off at that. But for people that call it a t-shirt company, or people that the fans that say AEW, they're never going to get a TV deal, or it's nothing, it's not going to materialize to anything. Some of them are hardcore WWE purists. Some of them are fans, and I understand they don't see much about AEW because you do have a pocket group of fans that are, to a certain extent, they are overhyping All Elite Wrestling. Instead of being excited for it, they're like up and over the moon about it and saying like, "Hey, WWE are gonna, WWE are going to run All they're going to run All Elite is going to run WWE out of business, making ridiculous, assumptions. So those Cooper fans are annoyed that these AEW fans are making these assumptions and they're ludicrous. And they're like saying, hey, wait, you know what? You guys are overhyping this product and nothing's even materialized just yet. So because of that, I don't even fuck about this company. So it's an interesting thing. But you do have some haters of All Elite Wrestling. They hate it just to hate it. So this is for those haters who said AEW will not get a TV deal. They said, oh, it's not going to happen. It's happening. This is also important, or big news, I should say rather, because this is the first time that, not the first time, it's the first time in a while that we are getting a wrestling promotion on a major network broadcast station that everyone can get since WCW. Now it's funny because you go back 20 years ago, TNT had WCW Nitro, Monday Night Nitro, and I think Thunder as well. But they had Nitro. Nitro was the destination for WCW Monday Nitro. And it's funny to see that 20 years later, a new mainstream wrestling company with some financial backing to it are getting that same chance to be on the same network. I just find that really ironic. That's really funny. But it's all good things. So, and on top of that too, they're going to be doing this press conference in New York City in the Madison Square Garden. That's another important thing too, because once again, the Madison Square Garden that has been known to be WWE's home, even though WWE have not, had any live shows or pay-per-views at the arena due to expenses and whatnot for years. It's always kind of been the unmarked territory of WWE. You go back to when Ring of Honor first announced their Super Show card at Madison Square Garden, how WWE tried to block that from happening, but then ROH's parent company, Sinclair Broadcast, were like, hold on, wait a minute now. You can't put a stop to us having our wrestling show at the Garden. And thankfully, and WWE backed off. And thankfully enough, ROH were able to have the super card with New Japan this past March, or April rather. So to have a new wrestling company, mainstream wrestling company, to make their claim, make their announcement, said, hey, we're a new upstart wrestling company. We snagged a major TV deal and we're announcing it on WWE's turf, the Madison Square Garden. That's pretty funny. And you got to imagine WWE, they're going to be watching. They're going to be looking. They are. They are. This news that just came out, if not Vince McMahon, Triple H is going to be watching. Some key people, Michael Hayes, Triple H, Shane, Stephanie, they're going to be watching. Tony Khan's it said that Tony Khan, along with some wrestlers, are expected to attend the event at Madison Square Garden. So it's going to be Tony Khan. You got to have Jericho there. I'm sure you're going to have Omega, Bucks, Cody, and maybe a few other guys on their roster, maybe like a Pac. So this is going to be really interesting. This is really interesting. Like I said before, excuse me, I've been saying this since the announcement. I'm looking forward to the prospect of All Elite Wrestling. A lot of fans are looking forward to All Elite Wrestling because they want, that competition. They want someone to kick WWE in the high gear and kick them in the balls and give some stiff competition. I get that. For me, I've kind of outgrown that. I've outgrown that phase. For me, I'm just looking for a better alternative. That's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for, and I still like WWE. That's not going to change. I'm not a hardcore fan of WWE. I would say anymore, but there's still a lot of talent that I do like, that I will come back to WWE and I watch the product for that specific talent. But at the end of the day, WWE just feels like it's not for me anymore. It's not catering to, my demographic, guys in their late 20s. So, yeah, the late 20s. So I think AEW, to me, it feels like that's going to be the wrestling brand for me, cater to me, a guy in his late 20s, um, in his late 20s, and is looking for something a little bit more competitive, like a combat sport. And the interview that Chris Van Vlat, whatever his last name is, had a really good interview with Tony Khan last month, a couple weeks, like 2 or 3 weeks ago. Had a good 37, 40-minute interview with Tony Khan. And some of the things that they were saying, Tony Khan was saying, like, he's looked into, how even UFC presents their I'm sorry, not the wrestlers, their fighters, and the presentation of UFC. And, from looking at that to what he knows, in his profession, um, the presentation for AEW is gonna be something different. So I'm really looking forward to that. And I think we're gonna see that with Double or Nothing in 2 weeks, which that's another thing too. Double or Nothing. It's in 2 weeks. I'm gonna make some video about that. Um, so this is exciting. So this is huge news. Um, this is a scoop from the rap, definitely for sure. Um, I mean, they could get on TNT. They could get on TBS. Either one would be would be major. Excuse me. It will be major. I'm excited. I'm definitely gonna be looking forward to this next Wednesday at 10 a.m. This is gonna be awesome. You guys, let me know what you think. Are you excited and look forward to the announcement of All Elite Wrestling? Things finally clicking and coming together for this, and we get the announcement that they have a TV deal. It's funny because it goes back to Chris Jericho. Chris Jericho said that he would not have signed with AEW if there was not TV, was not in talks. And he said that when they announced their deal, it would immediately put them in the talks of saying, oh, wow, wait a minute. AEW's the real deal. They're not pussyfooting around. They're not some, indie company or whatever. And if these guys are coming in next Wednesday, Madison Square Garden, New York City, Madison Square Garden, next Wednesday, and they announce that they have inked the deal with TNT or TBS, but either way, it's a Warner's Media production network. If they announce a partnership with either one of those channels, that automatically, even though they may not have had weekly shows just yet, that automatically solidifies AEW as the number 2 wrestling company in America. I'm sorry. It automatically solidifies them as number 2, and it'll put Ring of Honor and Impact Wrestling at like a tie for number 3, in my opinion. Maybe, yeah, 2, 3. I will put ROH above Impact, but the reason why I don't is because Impact has better production value than Ring of Honor. The parent company, Sinclair, has more money than Anthem, but in terms of the product itself, TNA to me has better TV production than not TNA Impact than ROH does. So this is huge, and it's exciting. and I'm really looking forward to this. I hope these guys do really well. You guys let me know what you think about this in the box below. Are you excited? Are you looking forward to next Wednesday? Do yourself a favor, hit that like button and subscribe. Peace.